You know, the subtitle of this podcast, the Personal Age Fitness Podcast, is Dispelling the Myths of Health, Wellness, and Nutrition. And just when I think I've got all these ridiculous lies tapped down, they come up with a new one. Sarcopenia, or what I like to call the new lie of aging. Today on the Personal Age Fitness Podcast.
Welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast
with Garrett Williamson.
Health, wellness, exercise, nutrition, and a whole lot more. Got questions? Call us and leave a message at 251-278-EDGE or message us at Personal Edge Fitness on Facebook and Instagram, at Team PE on Twitter, or personaledgefitness.com.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us today on the Personal Age Fitness Podcast. And I hate to tell you that they have yet a new lie. A new lie concerning health, wellness, and aging. You know, I've spent a lot of time, and if you've listened to the podcast, you're a fan of the podcast. First thing, please like and subscribe. The second thing, thank you very much for being involved and listening to our podcast. But we talk a lot about all the different myths and lies in health, fitness, and wellness. I've spoken about the lie of metabolism. I've spoken about a 5-part series on the lie of aging. I've talked about the lie of nutrition. I've discussed a lot of these just total misconceptions that are out there to, confuse you, many times sell a product, or just let people know, hey, it's not your fault. There's nothing you can do about it, which I think is incredibly, incredibly dangerous, not to allow folks to take responsibility for their own actions and therefore change their outcome, change their future, and change their health. And that's what I think is so disastrous when they come up with these lies. And I do call them lies. I'm very bold about that. I repeat it several times. Lies, lies, lies. And I know that seems to slap some researchers or medical professionals or health professionals in the face, and I hope it does. And the reason I say that is that let's clear the air. Let's tell people the truth. Or if I'm wrong, hey, look, let me know that I'm wrong. That's not a problem. But you've got to prove that I'm wrong. Like when we've talked about metabolism, and metabolism slowing with age. No, it doesn't slow with age. If it did, and we've researched it for so many years, and we've known so concretely that metabolism slows with age, then we'd be able to tell everybody exactly what age does your metabolism slow down. Nobody can answer that question because it's a lie. It's a lie. It doesn't slow down because time passing on a calendar. It slows down by a myriad of other factors of which you can change. Balance decreases as you age. You lose your balance as time passes on the calendar. Has nothing to do with time passing on the calendar. Has everything to do with the functions of the cerebellum and the fact that we don't challenge them. And since we don't challenge them, we lose the function. It goes down to the same neuroconnectivity, and neuro pathways actually go down to a kind of what I would call a degenerative state, just like when you're a toddler, and you lose that function, and therefore you lose balance. You can turn around and increase that function, just like you did when you were a kid. You got more active. You started challenging the cerebellum more. You change that communication, and you actually improve your balance. If it's not just balance, then it's a weakness. It's a weakness in lateral movement. Therefore, if you start lateral movement again, and if you've stopped it for many years, which most of us do, you start increasing that lateral movement, you increase the strength in those muscles, therefore you regain your balance. Again, not because time passes on a calendar. That is a lie. And today we conquer a new lie. Now I'm doing air quotes when I actually say that because it's not really new. We've had this word out for a while, but I think it's incredibly dangerous. It's dangerous because now they've put the penia on the end of this word, making it a disease, which is absurd. Now, what sarcopenia is supposedly sarcopenia is the muscle loss that you automatically have happen due to age. It's not really the actual definition of it, but that's what is being portrayed. Now, the reason I'm talking about penia doesn't actually mean disease, but it's a heavily connotated suffix of a medical word because there's so many different, very serious conditions that end in penia. You know, you've got lymphopenia. This is a condition, it's basically a deficiency in the number of lymphocytes in the blood. Osteopenia, which is the precursor to osteoporosis, and actually a deficiency in bone density. There's leukopenia, which is basically a low white blood cell count. You know, these are scary words, and they're not only scary words, osteopenia is very serious. Osteopenia is something that is like I say, it's a precursor to osteoporosis. It's something that we use as a warning sign after somebody has a DEXA. That's a warning sign to go ahead and start treating osteoporosis. And when you put sarcopenia, it is a term that means a reduction in muscle mass. But when you put that penia on there, you get the concept that it's a disease, that there's nothing you can do about it. It just happens to you. And I was just sitting right there one day, and all of a sudden, I contracted sarcopenia. Now, here's why I make this such a big deal, and I'm picking on this word. Sarcopenia is, the actual definition of it is the loss of muscle mass specifically related to aging. Now, you go into your doctor, you never heard this convoluted word, and you say, Doc, why my energy down? I'm not as strong as I used to be. I'm having some difficulties, and your doctor does an evaluation. There's actually a test, quote unquote test for sarcopenia, and he turns to you and says, you have sarcopenia. The patient's going to feel like they've contracted something. They're going to feel like that, oh my gosh, I'm one of the 20% of the population that contracts this disease, when it's nothing more than a lifestyle created condition. There's two different words we're using there. We're using disease, and I'm using condition, or I would rather use the words contracted and avoidable. Here's what I mean. Obesity is a condition. It's avoidable. That's something you can't avoid. That's something you actually cause, and you can't avoid it. Cancer is a disease. It's contracted. It is something that we don't know the exact cause of it. It is something that yes, we do know lifestyle can affect it. Smoking can, is shown to cause cancer, but not all cancer has been termed as we know exactly what causes it. And there are things that happen in your body that are completely out of your control when it comes to something like cancer. Weakness, that's a condition. That's an avoidable condition. Unless you have an underlying disease, unless you've got ALS or something of that, you've got some kind of paralysis to the nervous system which causes interruption of communication to the muscle, then, weakness is an avoidable condition. Diabetes, yes, it is avoidable, but there are things that happen to you in your body that are really not under your control once you contract diabetes. So it is a contracted condition. Sarcopenia is an avoidable condition. I do not think it deserves its own little heading like it's a disease. And the research that's going on about it is trying to figure out, oh my gosh, how is this condition, how is this disease happening? Why does it happen? And what's causing it and what have you? When you look at the majority of the definitions of it, and even the definitions, I had to go through to find a definition to very simply lay out what sarcopenia is. I had to go through 3 different definitions to find one that did not have a backward slash in the middle of the definition. And what I mean by that is it usually says muscle mass specifically related to age, / or inactivity. The first definitions I looked up, the first 3 had / or it's just inactivity. We think it's age, but it could be just inactivity. But the interesting thing about it is that if it is inactivity, which it is, that's causing sarcopenia, in fact, inactivity is one of the causes. I'll get to that in a minute. If it is inactivity, then why don't we use sarcopenia to describe the condition on anybody under the age of, 65? That's scary. And I'll show you what I mean. The causes of sarcopenia are very interesting. Whenever you're reading about the causes of it, the first thing you're going to see is they don't know as much as they need to know about sarcopenia. It's still being studied. But some of the causes are levels of certain hormones changing as time passes on a calendar, decreased protein conversion as time passes on a calendar, inflammation associated with time passing on a calendar, neurological signal interruptions attributed to time passing on a calendar. And then I love this at the bottom of all these things that can cause sarcopenia, other cellular changes. Amazing. That's kind of be all, end all, and cure all. And other things can happen too that cause it. Let me go through all these. Levels of certain hormones changing. Now, you've heard of hormone replacement therapy, and there's a lot of that going on. And I'm not against it. I'm a fan of it. But it's also been shown that levels of hormone don't necessarily have to change as time passes on the calendar. If they did, then it would happen the same way to everyone. Or if it wouldn't happen the same way to everyone, it would automatically happen to everyone, at least by a certain age. If things are so age-related, then there has to be a number somewhere in there where no matter what, you may make it to this point, but at this point, it's going to change for everybody, and that's not true. Decreased protein conversion. Now, that's rather ambiguous. honestly. But when you look at the lifestyle of most all seniors around the planet, and you find that they have a decreased amount of protein that they take into their body on a regular basis. I mean, this is a lifestyle change that we make in our nutrition. Then you're obviously going to have a decreased absorption of protein. Of course, the protein may be absorbed, but it's possibly going to be used for energy instead of being used for muscle growth. Why? Because we have a decreased amount of calories being taken in. Inflammation. Inflammation doesn't happen just because time passes on the calendar. There is a direct cause and effect dealing with inflammation. It can be because of rheumatoid arthritis, but rheumatoid arthritis is not something that everybody automatically contracts. So therefore, if rheumatoid arthritis is causing an inflammation, which is causing pain in a joint, which causes you to decrease your activity, or it makes you avoid using that joint, therefore the muscles around that joint start to degenerate, and now you have sarcopenia? No, there's a direct cause and effect there. Again, inflammation is caused by something else. It's not caused just by time passing on a calendar. Neurological signals. Now, in a situation of a neurological signal interruption, one that is unavoidable is something I mentioned earlier is ALS. ALS is not a condition. It's not something that you can actually cause to yourself. I mean, it's something that is a disease. It is contracted. It's very sad. Of course, I hate to see that, but that doesn't happen to every person. Now, you can have interruption to the muscle due to some sort of damage, but again, it's not because time passes on a calendar that causes this. Now, those are conditions that supposedly cause sarcopenia. On the next level down, you look at lifestyle changes that cause sarcopenia. Now, what's very interesting about these lifestyle changes that I'm going to list, when you're listening to this, we're talking about a condition that supposedly happens because time passes on the calendar. So it's something we should be concerned about when we hit an older age. But think of each one of these lifestyle changes. If I were to do them at whatever magic age in your head, I usually would I'll throw one out right now, but it doesn't have to be this age. Whatever describes youth to you. If we did these same lifestyle changes, would I not also contract muscle loss? We just can't call it sarcopenia because we're a younger age. But I'm going to say, what if these things happened to you when you were 18 years old? What if you had inactivity? What if you took an 18-year-old and had them lay in the bed because of an accident or something, and they're immobilized, and therefore they're lying in the bed, they have no activity? Do you think they're going to maintain muscle mass just because they're young? No. Emphatically, no, they're not going to. Sleep deprivation. If you have sleep deprivation at any time in your life, but if you have sleep deprivation at older age, then you're not recovering as much as you should. Therefore, the repair process going on to take care of the muscles in your body is being interrupted. Therefore, you can have quote-unquote sarcopenia. You can have a muscle loss. But if you have sleep deprivation at a younger age and you don't have full recovery, even though your protein transport's good, even though your activity is good, if you're not recovering, then you can have muscle loss. You can have muscle waste. We've seen this with people that get obsessed about breaking down the muscle day in and day out to keep working the same muscles over and over again. That causes actually muscle waste. It causes degeneration of muscle, which is what sarcopenia is. But we can't use that term because the person's under the age of 65. Poor nutrition. Poor nutrition we constantly see, and we talk about that in later stages in life. I actually talk about it in the lie of food and also the lie of age. In fact, one of the biggest parts of the lie of age and talking about nutrition is the fact that as time passes on the calendar, your lifestyle changes, the kids leave the nest, and you're with your spouse, you typically will cut back on the intake of food. You'll make things simpler. You won't do these big meals that you may have been involved in when you had kids at home. And so you'll eat, easy options. And the first thing to go is protein. The first thing to go out of our diet is protein. You know, the kids aren't here. I'm just going to have a salad. I'm just going to have some cereal, something like that. And when you say things like a salad, well, there's a double whammy on that one because the person that has a salad for a meal gets to wear the crown because they had quote-unquote healthy meal, but they didn't take in any protein. When we don't take in protein, you have no building blocks there to build back muscle that you may have broken down due to activity, which is why poor nutrition can cause sarcopenia or a lack of muscle. Well, if you have a lack of protein with the 15-year-old that happens to be incredibly active, they're working out twice a day, they're young, they're not past that magic age when they're supposed to just start automatically deteriorating. Again, we don't know what that age is. A 15-year-old, if you have poor nutrition, that 15-year-old is not going to develop muscles. They've seen this with malnourished orphans or kids living on the street or kids that have been, I hate to say this, but have been abused. And they've seen 12-year-olds that have development of 6 or 7-year-olds because they've been malnourished. But yet, we don't call their muscle loss sarcopenia. We don't do that until they hit a magic age. Dental and oral problems, obesity, loss of mobility, any of these lifestyle changes that you can have at a later in life, you can have earlier in life. The only thing is they're contributors to sarcopenia only if you're a certain age. It's funny to me. You can register to vote at 18. You can you can actually drink an alcoholic beverage at 21. Register for the draft at 18. I guess past a certain age, you're not allowed to have sarcopenia. Obviously, I'm on my soapbox here because I get so upset when we attribute time passing on a calendar with any kind of health condition with absolutely no proof that time passing on a calendar actually causes it. But the reason I think this is so dangerous is now we've given this condition that we have caused, that we can have at every stage of our life. Once you pass a certain age, we've now given it a name. Therefore, people are going to start adopting it as something that there's nothing I can do about. And then we're going to start putting the same lies with it, the same exact lies with it that we put with all of our aging-related concerns. It's going to happen, but you can make it better. You can fight it. Now sarcopenia is going to be put on there. Well, you have sarcopenia. I can fight it. Put up the good fight. I can make things better, but it's automatically on me. There's really nothing I can do about it. It just happens to you as time passes on the calendar. It's an absolute lie. And don't buy into that thought process. This goes to what I was talking about in live aging, the most important part of the live aging, which is mindset. And here you go. You're going to implant this ridiculous word, scary sounding word, into somebody's mind. And you're going to create a mindset of, now I've got this condition, oh my Lord, now I'm really going downhill. I had a great conversation with an 87-year-old lady who called us up for a consultation the other day. She was sent to us by a fantastic physician that we've worked together with and has a great mindset when it comes to the truth about health, wellness, and nutrition. And here she is, extremely active, and she's being told by everyone, including her spouse. She's being told by everyone, you're 87. The reason you can't walk to the mailbox or walk around do your walk as energetic as you used to is because you're 87. It just happens. Things just slow down. And she's on the phone with me telling me, you may think I'm weird, but I don't feel quote unquote 87. I don't buy into that. And here this poor lady is being bombarded by these lies. No. This happens to everybody. It's been repeated forever. We have no proof of it, but nobody cares about that. It's just been repeated forever, so you need to start believing it. She said, you know what? I don't want to. Of course, I applauded her thought process, and I said, that you've got the most important part of this right. You've got your mindset right. I'm just so glad that her physician didn't look at her and say, instead of looking at the fact that your activity has changed, and yes, you're doing exercises, but you may not be doing correctly, and I'm not sure what you're doing with follows nutrition, let's get you to somebody that knows, to the professionals that know all about that so we can change it. If the physician had looked at him and said, you know what? You've got sarcopenia. Could have totally changed her life. The wrong direction. She would have become just yet another statistic. Another statistic of, once you hit a certain age, you just fall apart. That's just all there is to it. Folks, I'm dedicated to dispelling myths of health, fitness, and wellness, and sarcopenia is yet another myth, yet another lie. And if you have anybody that disagrees with that, please tell them contact me. My name is Garrett Williamson. I'm the president of Personal Edge Fitness. It is the #1 personal training facility in the Southeast. We're very proud of our facilities both in Mobile and Baldwin County. We also do online training, and we do consultations to set up and design programs for people to actually do on their own. We're also involved in corporate wellness. But if you have any questions about this, or you have somebody that may be offended by the fact that I'm telling people the truth, that sarcopenia is a lie, that the fact that we deteriorate because time passes on the calendar is an absolute lie, and the person telling you that is a liar, and they have a problem with that, have them reach out to me. Garrett at personaledgefitness.com. That's Garrett, Garrett, just like Levi Garrett. Garrett at personaledgefitness.com. You can reach us at our website, personaledgefitness.com. That is also our Facebook page. Hey, don't think twice about calling me at the Mobile location, 251-341-0927. If I'm way too aggressive for you, you can contact our Eastern Shore manager, Mr. Joshua Gooch. You can contact him at 251-651-0927. Folks, don't believe the lies. Believe that you can make a difference. Check out The Lie of Aging. Look at those 4 different entities that actually control ability. Live by that and find your own level of wellness. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for listening to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast with Garrett Williamson. Subscribe now and be a part of the show by calling 251-278-EDGE or message us on Facebook and Instagram at Personal Edge Fitness or at Team PE on Twitter, and visit us at personaledgefitness.com.